Hey there guys, and good morning, afternoon or evening, wherever and whenever you are. And welcome back to our lovely island for another Forager Nuclear episode. If you don't remember, last episode we did more exploring of the treacherous glacier to the north, as well as finding a chest containing the mythical vampire wings. But either way, starting off today, as you can see, I finished crafting the Death Rod, a more powerful version of the Necro Rod that can summon 5 skeletons at once, rather than 1. After that, I headed out towards our crop field to harvest and replant, collecting lots of cotton and berries. After harvesting all of the plants, I collected the seeds from my backpack and quickly replanted them, ready for the next harvest. Once that was finished, I cleared out all of the resources in the grassland biome and around our factory, making it a cleaner area to work in, as well as making it far easier to traverse. However, whilst I was doing this, large numbers of slime started spawning again, and I was having to slay them left, right, and centre. After clearing out the resources, I found a merchant in the graveyard selling void roses, star fragments, and legendary gems, all for relatively cheap prices. So naturally, I bought their entire stock. After purchasing all of the goods from the merchant, I headed up to the north to begin collecting resources, especially the crystals. On the way, however, I did get a bit distracted heading into the desert and dealing with a watcher I saw there, but I did quickly course correct and head back up to the north and towards the glacier. However, much to my dismay, I accidentally killed the last magic deer. After accidentally killing the final member of the species that I'm aware of, I headed into the expedition center to check the temperature, which the reading set at about 4.2 degrees Celsius, which means the temperature's been constantly dropping, and I sort of began to worry that if I didn't do anything soon, then the changes to the north would be irreversible. However, there wasn't time to worry about this. I had a bigger, more pressing problem at the time. There was an ice mage outside their lair and it began attacking me. So I ran forward, crystal sword in hand, and slashed at them. Defeating them, obviously, because I'm such a good fighter. But I was obviously shaken up from the encounter outside of their cave, but either way, I bravely continued north, clearing out all the resources on the way as I went. Along the way, I passed by our fishing spot with the ghost friend, and there was actually a bunch of frozen squid in one of the traps, which, always nice. Ancient artifacts. Supposed to be rare, but we do have a very large amount of them. We have 17. But yeah, left us with that total of 17, so with the added confidence of collecting those rare artifacts, I continued into the north and finished harvesting up crystals and wood from the trees. After finishing collecting all the resources in the north, I headed back into the grassland and subsequently back into the murky dark depths of the graveyard to clear out some of the ever-growing gravestones and trees. Which, now that I think about it, it's kind of bad that I went through and just started destroying gravestones, but I mean, we've been doing it this whole time, why stop now, I suppose. But yeah, we cleared out the gravestones and trees, and after a while of clearing out resources around the expedition center, I headed back out to the farmland and did a second harvest of it, collecting another field worth of berries and cotton, before yet again replanting all of the seeds, ready for whenever the next harvest would be. And after harvesting all of the plants at the farm, I headed into the sandy, heat-ridden dunes, clearing out the resources as I travelled. After a short while, I came up across the quarry, knowing that I, A, needed XP to unlock more skills, B, needed resources like obsidian and crystals to make stronger gear, and C, needed to wait more time for our banks to finish producing coins, I began to harvest it. Naturally, I start by heading into the centre of the first half of the quarry before activating the obelisk like I always do and using its magical powers to give me more XP. And yeah, I cleared out the resources. And whilst I show footage, which is probably going to be a time lapse knowing me, of me clearing out the quarry, I'd like to talk to you guys about some things. To begin with, you may have noticed, you may have not, but I took a bit of a break from filming over the Christmas holidays. I wanted to spend more time with family and friends, take a moment to myself as well, sort of, to... I don't really know where I'm going with this, but yeah, I want to spend more time with family and friends over the festive period. And on top of that, I have actually... This is more also to do with me taking a moment to myself, but I've decided to sort of strip back a bit the upload schedule I was following and to change the way I create videos. And you probably know I used to upload a forage video on a Sunday and a slime rancher video on a Wednesday. I'm going to strip that back to one video every 1 or 2 weeks on a Sunday and alternate between forager and slime rancher, just to sort of make it easier for me. I was sort of constantly working on new videos before, and it would make me burn out very quickly. And I'm hoping that this should sort of ease off the workload a little bit. But yeah, on top of that, I've decided to make a more scripted approach to video making. I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but I mean, I've already gone off the script so many times during this, but still, I'm not going to go into too much detail about it, but tell me in the comments below what you think, if you prefer the old videos or the new ones, or even if you can't tell the difference, if it still seems the same. Either way, after clearing out all of the resources in the quarry completely, well, I say completely, the first half of the quarry, I headed back into the desert to continue clearing out more resources from the dunes. Before returning to the grassland where our adventure began. I quickly headed over to our banks to harvest them and collect our hard-earned coins, hoping that we would have enough to continue exploring and head further into the north. And it was here that I remembered the death rod we actually crafted earlier. And since I haven't actually tested it yet, I used it to summon not one, not two, but 5 skeletons before me. Quickly slaying them with my crystal sword, I sort of just immediately moved on and headed to the north, to the glacier. And as expected on my arrival, there was another ice age. There's another ice mage, not ice age. There was an ice mage, and I got ambushed by them. And they thought they could stop me from thwarting their plan, but they could not, because I very quickly defeated them in 2 or 3 swings from my sword. After defeating them, I just headed further into the north, and I thought that I might have enough money to continue exploring, which thinking back was very silly because I very much didn't. I was sorely mistaken, and since I didn't have all the coins that I needed, I just headed back to the grasslands, and on the border between the northern and central islands, found a chicken in our expedition center, just, you know, pooping casually, which wasn't too bad. I mean, I still needed 500 of the stuff, so I collected it and then left. And after leaving, I turned away from the grassland and returned to the sandy, grainy, extremely hot dunes. And I headed straight towards Market Street to see what was in stock. And when I got there, there was actually a stall selling another 60 poop to add to the collection, which gave us a total of 230, so nearly half of what we actually need to find. Unfortunately, there weren't any other stalls selling items we required, so I just moved on. Returned to our factory area and began crafting a handful of useful resources, including the crystal bow. And since we needed more money, I decided to sell some of those excess frozen squid that we had earlier, and left us with 10, so sold 7 of them. If I remember correctly, they go for about 200 each, so it's 1,400, just straight in the bank. And after selling those squids for a quick cash in, I actually quickly cleared out a few resources in the tranquil grassland, before heading back into the murky graveyard. I travelled, I cleared out a few resources before I reached a small island where the cursed clown once lives. If you guys remember him, no, the guy was not fun. And began fishing. And if you don't remember, fishing's incredibly long and tedious and annoying. And after waiting a long time for a bite, I finally got one as I was looking away to look at something. And I missed it, I missed the catch. and after what felt like another eternity, I got another catch, which was like two fish. Two fish just came out of this. After a while of fishing, our crystal bow had finally crafted, causing us to do an additional 6 attack damage with our arrows and causing targets to become frozen upon a hit. And after collecting the bow, I cleared out some of the resources on the way northwards, and I headed into the Graveyard Expedition Center because we have those dummies there, the training dummies. And I tested out the damage on them, which it did some good damage. And then after that, I headed back through the factory towards the desert, where I tested it against some resources out there, namely some palm trees, mainly some palm trees I tested on. But either way, after testing that out against the local trees, I headed back down into the quarry and began to clear out the second half. And during the process, I actually noticed the original half of the quarry regenerated its resources. So I headed over, cleared this, I can't speak today, cleared some of those out as well. After a short while, another merchant spawned, so I cleared out resources on my path up to him. And once I arrived, I looked at their wares and bought another 5-star fragments and another 4 legendary gems. And I could have afforded 5 legendary gems, and I really don't know what came over me not to buy the 5th one, because it would have been useful, and definitely be useful later. But either way, on top of that, since I was up there anyways, I began to clear out resources around the desert shrine. Once the area was cleared, I knelt down and showed my faith to the goddess of the island, whoever that might be, I don't actually really know, but I showed my faith to them, and I was given the excavator buff. I dug up all of the artifact spots that generated, and I then cleared my way out of the desert and back into the grassland. Once I was back in the grassland, I harvested the banks yet again, and we're still falling very short of the total amount of coins that we needed. Since we weren't making much progress with that, I just headed over to the forge and set up 600 lots of coins to be produced. Safe to say I had quite a bit of gold to burn through and just sort of wanted to use it. So I did that to speed up the accrual of wealth that we were experiencing. But either way, after doing that, I headed north yet again whilst I waited for it to craft, seeking to pray to the other shrines we have in the land. However, at the glaciated shrine in the north, I found another Ice Mage Guardian. After dealing with the scoundrel, I knelt down yet again, this time receiving the Scholar buff and being granted with a set of scrolls, namely a Sage Scroll, a Star Scroll, 2 Druid Scrolls, a Minor Scroll, Builder Scroll, and a Demon Scroll. The Sage and Star Scrolls I just used straight away because why not, and I gave myself a quick XP boost with it. As well as actually another handful of Star Fragments, getting a lot of those this episode. But either way, once I'd done that, I headed back to the grassland and used the Builder Scroll on the Forge and Banks to speed up our money making scheme a little bit further, and just store the other ones away. And then I headed into the graveyard to visit the final shrine where I yet again cleared out the area, knelt down, and was granted yet again with the Scholar buff. This time the scrolls I received were a Druid Scroll, 2 Builder Scrolls, 2 Demon Scrolls, a Star Scroll, a Minor Scroll, and 2 Wizard Scrolls. Just like before, I used the Star Scroll immediately to grant myself some more Star Fragments, before heading back to the grassland and using the Builder Scrolls on our Banks and Forge. The Builder Scrolls took their effect and placed the other scrolls into their respective vaults, but we didn't have enough vaults, so I just built a new one. I had the resources for it, therefore why not? And just made a new one. And whilst I waited for coins to boost, I used our lightning rod, storm rod, I don't remember which one it is, it's one of the two. Either way, I used it to try and speed up production of our coins, as well as some of the other resources that we were producing. But my aim isn't the best with it, and I accidentally destroyed part of the farm, so I harvested the farm again. I think that's the third time now this episode, but either way I collected another load of berries and cotton before going back and replanting the seeds again. After harvesting the farm again, I headed over to the banks to collect some coins, but was still lacking the funding needed to continue exploring the north. Because of that, I headed out to the graveyard where our factory sat and began crafting some more resources like electronics, plastics, may have made some fiberglass, I don't remember, but resources that we'd need later. And like, they won't be useful now, but they will be useful after we finish in the north. And whilst those were producing, I was clearing out some of the resources in and around the graveyard until the forge has produced enough coins. Since I now had the money we needed, I headed up north yet again into the depths of the glacier, and on the way there to the new island, I got attacked yet again by another ice mage attempting to stop my efforts to thwart them. Thankfully, because I am just such an exceptional fighter on this island, I immediately stopped them with, yet again, like 2 or 3 swings with the sword and they were done. On the island itself, it was a single statue of a sleeping princess and a sign. The sign read, "Only the flower that glows in the dark will awaken the stone princess." You know what? I'll give you guys a moment. Comment down below if you think you have the solution, and I'll catch up with you in a minute as to what the actual answer to the riddle is. Now, if you didn't know the solution, what I did was head down to the Vault Island, collect a cinder bloom, a blazing flower that usually only grows in the fiery plains to the south, but I think they also grow in the ancient tomb in the desert, which is why we have so many of them. And I brought it back to the statue. I placed it in the hands of the princess, which caused her to awaken, and a chest containing a spirit orb appeared. As usual, I used the spirit orb to increase my health, and then I built a bunch of bridges actually around the island, just in the water, just filling up the water, built a bunch of bridges there, connected it to the desert below. And finally, I head back to the grassland, and that is where I am going to call it there for today. I hope you enjoyed watching as much as I enjoyed making this video, like I always do. And if you did, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're new. As usual, leave a comment telling me what you think, share my channel with your friends to help me grow, and come back next time to continue our adventure on this island. But either way, make sure to let me know what you think of the new way of recording videos. But I will see you next time. Bye bye!